Hello everyone, I am Robyn from Gardenstatesowandsew. I garden in Zone 7 in New Jersey. I am also a quilter. I do all kinds of things with that has to do with sewing. Not too many clothes, but purses and quilts and things like that. I get a lot of questions on what my name of my channel means. Some people call it Gardenstatesowandsew, but it's actually Gardenstatesowandsew. It's SOW for sowing seeds, and SEW because I sew on my machine or by hand or quilts or purses, so I sew. But before I get started, I would love to introduce you to a very good friend, very sweet lady. She has come from all the way across the country to visit me. She's been stopping here and there, and it was my turn to have a visit with Hether. She's very, very sweet, very talented. She does all kinds of crafts, all kinds of outdoors. She can use power tools. She has these adorable, adorable cows and just all kinds of things. It's just endless, the amount of things and the talent that she has. So she is here with me today, and we're going to show a little bit of what the sew, SEW part of my name means. Let me see if I can stick you in here, Hether. She says hello. She's been in my garden already today. Let me stick her right there, if I can. Hether, sit up. Oh, this is terrible. You stay. Stay. Okay. So, I thought that was her falling. I suppose I will start with my first quilt. She did fall. Hether, stay still. Let's try this. Okay, so I'll start with my very first quilt. How I got started was my Grammy. She lived in Florida, and she bought everything that there was that she needed, the basics of, to start a quilt, and then she changed her mind. So when I was down there visiting, she gave me her rotary cutter. She gave me her cutting mat. She gave me all the basics to get started, and I went out to the store, and it's a grandmother's flower garden quilt, and every little flower is different, and I wanted to make this for her because she got me started on it. So that's my very first quilt. It's a hexagon quilt. It's done all by hand. I took it everywhere with me, and it took me a couple years at soccer practice, at football practice, things like that, to get this done. And eventually I was able to presented to her at one of the Christmases that when she lived with us. Um, lived with my mom, and she came back here to New Jersey. So she loved it, and as long as she was here with us, it was kept in her drawer. And of course, when she passed, I now have it back. So that was my first quilt. I always I was warned not to start that as my first quilt, but I never listened. So I just figure if I can conquer that, then I can conquer the easier things. So I did. And prior to that, I did do a cheater quilt for my son when I was pregnant with him. A cheater quilt is just a panel of something that you can it's just a panel, and I went around the rocking horse and things like that, and then my mom and I put a ruffle around it. So that was not something that I actually pieced. But that would probably be considered my very, very first quilt. So I've been quilting for my son's 35, and I did that before he was born. However, back in the day, I did do embroidery in like 7th grade, and I made my own jumpsuit in 8th grade. Just I crocheted and all of that from a very young age. My Grammy is actually the one that showed me how to stitch by hand. She always used a double thread. So as time went on, I found applique, and it's specifically Baltimore album applique. There are other kinds of applique, which I do all the time, but my heart is with Baltimore album applique. I love the history. I just love everything about it. So I talked a friend of mine into going to a class in Delaware, Lewis, Delaware, with the very famous in the quilting applique world, the very famous Ellie Sienkiewicz, very, very dear to my heart. After a few years of being in Ellie's presence, I volunteered to be one of the people. She asked me to be one of the people who would participate in putting a quilt together with a whole group of us for her next book. So I chose 2, and if you can see that one right there is the block that I had done, and then I did a strawberry wreath block. Now this is my friend Mary, and there was no plans to put them together, but we ended up being together, which was pretty neat. And then a very big honor that I'm just so thankful for is that she decided to feature my strawberry block at the bottom of the page. Okay, so then in none of these quilts was there a clipper ship that I've found yet. But Ellie, I had brought my clipper ship block for show and tell the next year after I had finished it. Little did I know, it was a complete surprise that she featured my clipper ship. I hope you can see it. And it says the MacKay Clan Clipper Ship by Robyn MacKay was a glory. Her flags a-flying, she sails above a lush garland of showy ruched ribbon roses, stem stitch and lazy daisy greenery, and a dramatic fuchsia color, colonial knots forming that old-fashioned love lies bleeding. Photo by Robyn. So then there's some close-up pictures up here. This down here was not the original spray under the ship. I made that up myself. And the one night after we had dinner, she took me to her side and she told me that that was the most beautiful spray she's ever seen. And that, coming from Ellie, would just bring you to your knees in tears. She's just, if you know her, you understand. Everybody that knows her will understand what I mean. She's just... And then, what else? Again, here is another close-up of my ruched rose. And then, in the back, we were all asked a bunch of a questionnaire, and whatever quote she wanted to pick to be in her books, she picked, and the person got recognition from that. And my particular quote was included, and the question was, why Baltimore Revival? Because it is a Baltimore Revival quilt, and it was that time era. I said, I just know that Baltimore album quilts have a uniqueness about them. It doesn't matter, really, how well they are made. It's the beauty, it's that beauty and that uniqueness that draws women to want to know more. Curiosity starts so many Baltimore album journeys, quilt journeys. The more one learns, the more one wants to be a part of the Baltimore album revival to create her own history and display her own unique character, Robyn MacKay. I can't tell you the honor that this gives me. So then Ellie was, if that's not enough, Ellie had written her very first book, and it was self-published, and it was called Spoken Without a Word. And I have that book. It's really long, and not as tall as it is long. And I have it safe. It was expensive. It's precious to me, so I don't take it out very often. However, after she had written this book here called Beloved Baltimore Album Quilts, she wrote a second book, an updated 30th anniversary revised edition of Spoken Without a Word. Her mother actually drew that. I'm not sure. I might be mistaken, but I do believe she did. However, I know her mother drew that. It's beautiful. It represents all 4 seasons. So, when I received this book, I found that once again I was included. It's just absolutely so amazing to me. Once again is my strawberry wreath. That's a picture of her original book. Wow. This was 2015 already. It's just, I mean, that's almost 10 years. That's just crazy. So, it's just been a very, very precious to me experience. And I have a couple other things to show, because this is not Baltimore album. However, it is applique. It is needle turn applique. And this block goes into a quilt called A Walk in the Meadow. A Walk in the Meadow. So I've been working on that. I also do machine piecing, but I also do little miniatures. This is a little miniature, and it was machine pieced. But I have so many machine pieced quilts, and I can't believe, Heather, can you believe that I didn't bring out any kind of, machine pieced? That's okay. I'll show them later. So I did not make this apron, but I brought it out to show Heather, because she makes beautiful, beautiful aprons. And this one is an antique that I bought at an antique store, and I would like to replicate it. It's kind of delicate, and all the embroidery, I believe somebody pressed with the iron and distorted it, and I believe they may have starched it quite a bit. The reason that I think that is because if you can look at the stitching on here, I don't know if it'll show, but it's very shiny, and that's a sign of being ironed flat down, because this is actually embroidery, hand embroidered, and it shouldn't be laying down flat, crispy, and shiny. But I just loved it, and I bought it, and I don't know, I would like to try to replicate it. If not, I have this pattern that I'd like to try. I've done, I don't know what I did with it, but I also do embroidery. I don't know what I've done with my, well, okay, so these little things right here, that's embroidery. These are another stitch considered embroidery. They're all fuzzy. It's fuzzy. Fuzzy. All this is embroidery. All the stems here are all embroidery, but they're not the extent of that's embroidery. It's not the extent of embroidery that I go into a lot more complicated types of embroidery. And then a few years ago, probably more than a few years ago, I tried my hand at sashiko. Some people pronounce it differently. I don't even know if I have any in here, but if not, I can show you a picture. This is, I believe the Japanese do this, and it's almost like what we see if you're a quilter. What this one here looks like the big stitch quilting, which I want to try. I want to try the big stitch quilting. So I have so many blocks, quilt tops that are not finished, that I'm sure I can find one that would look good with the big stitch quilting. Now, when I first started quilting, it was not allowed to, it was not acceptable to have large stitches. You were to get them as small as you could, because if they were big, my teacher called them toe catchers, because the big stitch would get stuck in your toe. You know, your toe will get stuck in the big stitch when it's on your bed or whatever. So anyway, this was fun, and they were supposed to be little coasters, and I'm not finished. Speaking of not being finished, I wanted to know, Heather was helping me decide whether to mention this or not, but I wanted to see if it would be a good idea to start my very first collaboration. Put down in the comments what you think it would be like to have a collaboration. It can be ongoing. There's no rules or anything to finish what you started. And that kind of sounds a little harsh. In the quilting world, we would say, I need to get my UFOs finished. The UFOs are unfinished objects. So I'm not sure exactly what to call it, and it doesn't have to be a craft. It could be painting your wall, it could be mowing your lawn, anything that you've put off and you need to have, it's on your list to get done. If a man is working on his race car and he wants to finish his project, this will be the same thing. It doesn't have to be a craft or anything like that. Just finish what you've started. But I need a help finding a little bit better of a title for a collaboration like that. Heather's been helping me, and we've, had a lot of fun in this sewing room together. And I even showed her the ornament that I'm making with Mona Did What collaboration. And Heather thought it was cute. She likes it, don't you? Yes, she does. She really, really does. So, we have had an excellent and very fun visit. I thank you, Heather, for coming all the way across the country. She is from Milk and Honey Heritage Farms, and you should go and check her out. She's amazing. She really is. I don't know how she does everything she does. But in the meantime, also let me know what you think of me videoing things that I haven't finished, because I have a lot that I have not finished in all different areas of the crafting, sewing type of thing. And I may not always be able to provide the pattern because of copyrights. However, I can always, to my best ability, let you know where I had gotten that pattern, or I could contact them and ask their permission. Sometimes they will do that. Sometimes they'll give other quilters permission to take their pattern and, either sell it to you, and they make the profit, and then they give me the permission to go ahead with it. But as long as I'm not copying their techniques with my applique, there's, I'm not sharing a pattern that's supposed to be paid for. For instance, if there was interest in a walk in the meadow, I know the person who handles it for Ellen Heck, which is, Ellen Heck is the designer of this quilt, and she has a helper, Nancy Kearns, and you can always contact Nancy Kearns, and she handles, and I'm not sure, don't quote me, if she's still doing it, but there would be no problem in asking. If she still makes the copies, and they split the profits, and that's how it works. And then after that, as long as you're not showing the pattern or sending it to anybody unfairly without asking permission, then you can do the block. I can do the block right here with my own applique techniques, because I have my own. Not that it's much different from anybody else's, because there is everybody gets their own little niche, knack, or whatever. With their stitches, they get their own rhythm, they get their own stitch. There's a basic direction to it, but then, like I said, everybody adapts to the way that they do it, way that it's comfortable for them. So that's not copying anybody. So let me know if that's something that I should do, and maybe a less of a harsh name for finish what you start. Kind of sounds, I don't know if I like it. Let me know. And let me know if it would be something that you think people would be interested in finishing their projects, their unfinished projects, unfinished objects, which we say, I need to get to my UFOs. My UFOs are piling up, and to a quilter, that means unfinished objects. I hope I've showed enough. For now, I'll show more later. But yes, I do hand quilting, hand sewing, machine quilting, machine sewing, machine applique, hand applique, embroidery. I'm actually taking a class in Delaware or Maryland on stump work, and I have done stump work, but again, I taught myself, and I don't know if everything I've done is the way it's even supposed to be done. I just did it myself. I figured I made it look like the pattern. That's all I know. There could be easier things. There just might be some kind of tip. Every time I go to a class, you always pick up a tip here and there. And speaking of being a self-taught quilter, I don't think that I will be teaching anybody to do rotary cutting, because apparently I do it backwards. Okay. I've been told that I do it like a left-hander, and I'm right-handed. Hether is left-handed, if I remember correctly. Yes. I think. So, maybe a left-hander would be okay for me to teach, but I don't think so. Nobody cuts like me except for the ones that I taught, and I'm very sorry, but they don't want to switch either. I don't want to switch to the typical way of cutting. I like the way I cut. I like the way I taught myself, and my friends that I taught how to cut, they have not gone back to the correct way of cutting on a rotary mat with a rotary cutter. So I'm going to keep my way, and they said they're going to as well. So I don't want to spread any more wrong cutting, but it works. And I want to thank you. And this is, I hope that now more people will understand the reason for my name. And it's because I sow seeds and I sew quilts. And I just sew. And I thank you very much for being here. I appreciate all of you, and I appreciate my friend Heather for coming to visit. And she will be off soon to visit the next surprise person. She's out off to surprise another person, and I'm gonna miss her. Okay, say bye, Heather. She says bye. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.